Advice is least welcome, and those who need it the most like it the least. It was a famous quote by Lord Chesterfield. In the next 5 minutes, you are going to learn what is the pros and what is the cons of advice and how advice can affect the performance of a person in terms of their growth in all aspects of the life. And from the perspective of the taker of the advice, I am telling that there are two kind of people who never can grow. And those people are the category one. There are some people who are fully egoistic and they are totally illusioned about their knowledge, and they think that everything they know in their lives. And by virtue of this understanding, they think themselves that they are superior to the other who they are meeting with in their locality or in their office, and they think they are the best. They are better than that their colleagues, and that's why they never grow in their life. They are always in the starry-eyed, and because of this egoistic nature, they don't take advice from anybody, and that's why giver of the advice, they fails. Whether advice is right or advice is wrong, advice is good or advice of bad, it is different thing, different aspects, but they never take any advice. Number two, other category. Other categories of people are too much open-hearted, and they are very frank and candid in their discussions, and they are ready to take any advice even from the juniors who are not experienced enough to take the advice. And while taking the advice, they do not consider the credibility of the person who is giving this advice, and they open-heartedly take everything in their life. Even they are following the multiple advice from different sources, and it is playing in their brain. What happens? Sometimes multiple advice in the different direction, just like the resultant force of the physics, sometimes nullify each other and make the resultant force as per the vector addition as total zero. So their life also full of total zero. Either they will deteriorate in their life because of taking multiple advice, or they can remain stuck in their career and the other aspects of their life. They remain average. So now the question is that who can improve? There are other category of the people, which I can tell the third category. But telling third doesn't mean that they are the inferior. They are much superior because they have their own capability. They can judiciously filter what is good for them and what is bad for them, and they can understand the credibility of the giver of the advice. They cannot take advice from everybody. It doesn't mean that they are arrogant. If they think that those advices are bad, not applicable for them, they politely says that it might not be applicable for me, and they can search for the good advice. But once they can realize that those advices are quite applicable for them to improve their career, really, they stick to those advice and they sincerely act for those advice, and they are always riding high. And metaphorically, they take the bull by the horns, and they will remain ecstatic in their entire life. They can improve their relationship. They will achieve the freedom and the money because they have selectively taken some advice and they follow it. So my question to you, what kind of person you want to be? Let me take you some example from my practical life. Joydeep Basu, who was from my previous batch. He scored well, but contrary to the well-known trend of taking the science subject in the higher secondary, despite scoring high in the Madhyamik of the class standard 10, he took the advice of one of his colleagues of his father, whose father used to be professor of Bangla language. But the colleagues who has given the advice, he was the professor of physics, and he took that advice, and within a short time he has passed chartered accountancy, and he got the good job in the other cities, and afterwards he got transferred to his home city, Kolkata, and he is leading a good life. But the same professor of physics had advised us also, including me, that instead of taking science, to take accountancy, because his logic was very simple. In the accountancy, I might have to face lesser competition as compared to science. He was right, but actually I was driven by my passions rather than by the hard mentality of following this trend of taking science subject for the good student. And I really loved engineering or the science subject. Till now, I love it. But I failed to understand that only technical knowledge or only knowledge about the science doesn't help anybody to advance his career. For advancement of the career, we need to have something X factor. So what is that X factor? X factor is that your communication skills, your understanding the temperament of the boss, your judicious decisions of what to say and what not to say, and when to say, when not to say. All these things matters, and how you are keeping your relationships with your peer group, with your boss, even with your juniors. All these things matters. But I failed to get the right advice at the right time. Instead, I got something instigating advices which made me rather reactive at that time, and that's why I always remained average in my career, despite having some qualities, what I think about me. So my question to you, would you like to become me or like Joydeep Basu, who has taken the right advice? If you want to improve in your life, if you want to make your career soaring high, you need to take the right directions. Now, ball is in your court, what to do, what not to do. Bye.